Hello, everybody, whether you're here live or you're catching the recording, thank you so much for joining me. What's going to happen today is that in a minute, I'm going to start a live demonstration of a process I use with my clients. And it's been something that has always been behind the closed doors of that client relationship. And I've really wanted to take this opportunity to share a little bit more widely, because we're reaching that tipping point, I think, now where more and more people are choosing to build their businesses in different ways. And so those alternative tools really need to come to the fore. So I really wanted to give that demonstration. But I'm also conscious that there are a lot of people who've registered for this who have not had any connection with me in the past. So it's uncustomary for me, but I'm going to do an introduction. Let's share a little bit about my work before we get going. So I started off my journey as working for myself as a marketing consultant because I came from a marketing background. Soon discovered I didn't like the way that marketing was going. Well, previously I had worked in a charity, so that's very much good news stories. So that's a different kind of marketing and a different kind of strategic public affairs that you're engaged with than the sort of like the mainstream throng of marketing. So I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't working well for me. So I started to explore those options, and it was when my intuition really opened up in my business and I started to consciously work with it, that an entirely new way of thinking about business and the way of approaching business emerged for me. So that is to work with the energy, because the surface level of what we do is very noisy. There's a lot of pressure coming in from all sorts of places, not just business fields, but there's a lot of pressure to create a business that looks a certain way, does a certain thing, performs in a certain way, achieves a set accepted level of success. But that's not really what we're all about. We're all about bringing ourselves into our businesses and using our unique gifts and our unique perspective. And I found is that working at a frequency level gets below all of that noise. So that's what I've been doing. I've been working on a way of working with frequency. That's what we're going to show today, working with frequency and trying to interpret that to create business in a very much more natural way. And what I've discovered through that process is that there are 5 layers of energy that we're working with. Now, most people will be experienced at working with the outermost layer of the energy of the business. So the 5 layers, very briefly, are frequency, which is the pure energy that you brought into play when you decided to create your business. Now, that's the one thing that never changes. That frequency is always there and it's always constant. So because in that moment you created your business, you weren't confused in the slightest. There was no lack of clarity. It was absolutely so focused and so accurate for all iterations of your business that it doesn't change. Beyond the next layer out from the frequency is the DNA. So there are 5 strands of DNA that I work with, and I've developed a process for working with those strands, where you are actually recreating and reforming your business without a lot of the influence that might come into play. And when I talk about I'll talk about this in the outermost layer, but when you are very actively engaged in establishing your business with, whether that's self-taught stuff or you have a coach or a mentor or something like that who's really involved in the establishment of your business, there is a risk that their energy gets caught up in the DNA. So when we are reweaving the DNA, then we're actually removing all of that and allowing it to come back into its purest form. The next layer out is the energetic structures. Now, these are the beliefs, the thoughts, the behaviors, the principles, plus the physical structures that we create for our business. Now, those physical structures can cause us some problems, as well as our thoughts and our beliefs. And that's an area that we all know well. But those energetic structures are the next layer out, and they create the skeleton, if you like, for the energy body. So every business has an energy body, much like we do, and it has a set of energy centers, and they all work together. So that's the next layer. The layer that is the most outermost layer that most people are used to working with is the business entity. Now, the business entity involves not just all of these layers, but also every member of your community, every client, every program you run, every mentor you have, everything is in the mix of your business entity. So if you work with your business entity to ask questions of it, then what you are likely to get is an answer that is effectively distorted by all of those other things. So it's not completely true. So I like to go back to the frequency. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go back to the frequency, and our lovely volunteer, Jen, is going to experience that frequency of her business. And I'm going to show you how we unravel that and interpret it to try and begin to put together a strategy for the business development. Now, Jen's been in my community for a bit, but I've never actually spoken to her. So this is particularly fun for me because it's been the first time I've done this without actually having prior meeting with somebody, which is is fun. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask Jen to introduce herself and talk a little bit about what's important to her and her business at this point in time, so that you've got some understanding of what she is likely to be experiencing and some insight into how to interpret it. So Jen, I may just switch the pin off, and perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me here, Polly, and thank you for everyone that's watching here with us right now and the recording. My name is Jennifer Redden. I am a quantum activator, multidimensional mentor, and I help conscious female leaders build harmonious infrastructures so they can uncover and embody their leadership uniqueness and allowing them to create the impact they are meant to this lifetime with ease, coherence, and clarity. I've been in business since 2020, and what Polly is referring to, that moment that you decided to create your business, I can definitely tap back into that from 3 years ago. I was in a career that I was really burnt out of, and I wanted to create something new. I wanted to be a change. I knew there was a better way. And so here I am doing this work. Over the 3 years, I have done a ton of my own personal development, uncovering my own leadership uniqueness, my gifts, my sensitivities, my energetics. And my struggle with my business is bringing it into form. And one of the things that has drawn me to Polly is she talks about frequency into form, because I am a very magnetic person. I have a lot of head and third eye energy. And so the area that I struggle the most is bringing it into my body and bringing it into actual form. So I have a tendency to get caught in my head and create a bunch of ideas and then struggle with bringing them into actual structures and maintaining those structures. So that's my biggest struggle. And that struggle is leading me to not seeing the financial response or rewards that I would like to in my business, because I'm struggling with feeling that, having that structure and feeling safe within my body to hold that structure and hold the frequency that's coming through me, the consciousness of my business. So that is why I'm here. That's what draws me to Polly, because her words really speak to and resonate with that piece of me that I struggle with, and also my understanding of, bringing frequency into form. And it's so nice when we have those people that can help us do that.
So can I just ask a question?
Yes.
About, you said about holding that frequency of your business. And is that a perceived problem or an actual problem, do you think?
I think there's a combination of both, actually. I think in the beginning, it really was an actual problem. And now, because of the growth that I've done, I believe I can hold it. I know I can hold it. There's still that underlying scaredness of being able to hold it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I mean, one of the things I will say is that moving that level of energy through your body it does take a lot of recalibration. And it does activate a lot of hidden or held patterns, whether that's trauma or not trauma. It does activate them. So yeah, so it's challenging on our systems to have that that energy, and that's something that's really been coming to me much more, you know, has been shown to me time and time again, is how careful we need to be at the speed at which we do it, and the speed at which we increase that energy, because you can put yourself back and you don't want to be doing that. Yeah. You want to keep going in a manageable way. So it's kind of interesting that you said you got into your head, because that's where I started my journey. It was like when I started working with the elements, it was like, you know, I was all up in my air energy in my head, and I couldn't drop it into action. And that was my entry point, you know, into my own personal growth. So it's kind of interesting that you reflected that back. So what we'll do then is just take you into that frequency. Now, I'm going to ask you to settle yourself in using your own procedures. I think it's important that I say up front is that I choose not to go into people's energy fields. I get a sense of what's going on, but I choose to do it for two reasons, not to do it for two reasons. One is that if I go into your energy field or into your business's energy field, then there's always the risk that that's going to distort your experience of it. And I think it's really important that you are able to navigate that in your own way. So when you're in that space, if you just keep talking to me about what you're seeing, what you're feeling, then I will be able to guide you through that. You know, it's important for me that I stay out of that. So I just allow you to guide yourself in, drop yourself into a space, and you just let me know when you feel ready to proceed. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So before we begin, it would be useful to do a very quick clearing. So what we'll do is we will create a little space to bring your business energies in, and hold that space for you throughout this session. So we'll call in, to begin with, the energetic guardians of your business. So there may be 3, there may be more.
There's 4.
Okay. And we'll ask them to set up a space for this experience. And to be joined at this time by any guides or beings that would like to be with you during this experience. It can be a bit of a crush at this point sometimes. It's like lots of energies choosing to come in.
They've settled.
Okay. So we will now just, if you can call in all 5 layers of your business energy into the space. You don't need to see or or feel them. As long as you just call them in, they will be there.
Okay.
Okay. I'll ask the guardians now to send a clearing energy just through the whole of your business, just to remove any distortion, clutter, or anything that might make it more difficult for you to receive the insights that are there for you.
Okay.
Does that feel that's completed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll now just ask the frequency of your business to make itself more obviously known to you within those 5 layers. And if you can just talk to me about what it looks like or what you feel like.
So as it filters through, it's a dark blue color. It's moving like a funnel, like a swirling funnel. And there are gold and orange specks filtering through as it moves.
Which direction is the energy swirling in?
Clockwise.
Okay.
It
Right.
is a force of change, an understanding of a new way to be brought through, for me to be the role model and the leader to show people this other way of living their life, of being in relationship with themselves and the world around them.
When it came in, did it come from a particular direction?
From above.
Okay. What's happening below your feet at the moment?
I'm standing on a bunch of rocks that are not flat, unstable.
Are you wobbling?
I'm standing now. It's shifted. I have grass underneath of me, and the earth has welcomed me in.
Okay. If that energy came from above, Does it move down? When you say it's funneling, does it funnel down into the earth, or where does it funnel to?
It funnels into my heart.
Okay.
I can feel it in my armpits.
And what happens in your heart area when it flows in?
My heart starts to race.
Okay.
My diaphragm starts to contract.
Okay. Do you feel scared? Or are you excited?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
The longer I sit with it, the deeper it's moving through me.
Mm-hmm.
The more safe I feel.
Okay. Where else are you feeling it?
It's moving into my pelvic floor now.
Okay. What's happening when it's going to there?
It's releasing the tension in the back of my heart.
Okay.
I'm hearing great leader. I see myself holding a lighted staff that I plant into the earth.
What's happening to the staff when you plant it in the earth? I have completely disappeared. Right.
It lights, the light shines brighter, and a signal goes into the sky.
Okay. And what is this signal doing?
It's a beacon.
Mm-hmm. And is it sharing your message, or is it sharing your what's it saying? What's the beacon saying?
It's a light frequency.
Okay. And its purpose is?
To show people the way.
And is that beacon calling people to the beacon, or is it activating? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's both. It's
Okay.
activating, it's activating for, it's activating.
Yeah.
And those that are consciously aware and know how to follow the beacon will come to me.
Okay.
Those that are activated and are not consciously aware will be triggered and will not, they'll they won't align.
Okay. So when you're talking about this, what's your body feeling?
Excitement,
Okay.
power, a true sense of purpose.
Okay. I'm wondering if we can now run some energy up through your feet and into your body, coming directly from the earth, to see what that does to what you're experiencing and feeling.
Okay. The color I get from the earth is emerald green. It fills up around me like smoke. It's safe, it's warm, it's inviting.
What does it do when it moves up through you and it meets that energy that's coming into you through your heart and moving through you?
It softens it in the essence that it makes me feel like I'm sitting in a beanbag chair.
Okay.
It allows me to relax. It
Mhm.
offers me space to be held
Okay.
without feeling like I have to do it all by myself.
So when you now come back to that staff and the beacon, do you see yourself alone holding that beacon, or do you see yourself supported in holding that beacon?
Alone.
Okay. And does it feel good to be alone, or does it feel like there's something missing?
It feels isolating.
Okay. Ask the energetic guardians to show you what's missing from the picture.
The response was the people.
Mm-hmm. And what people, because we get zoned in here, we think all people are our clients. What people are missing?
The other conscious female leaders, the ones that are ready to make a change.
So is this a network that you surround yourself with? Or are you the leader of this group?
I'm the leader.
Okay.
It's women that have incredible gifts, that are, much like me in the beginning, scared to use those, didn't understand them, considered themselves weak for being sensitive, weren't sure how to articulate their gifts / sensitivities and own those parts of themselves. They also minimize their challenges and their traumas.
What we want to get an idea of when we feel into your business, this leadership role that you have, this beacon that you are. When you focus on that, what's the quality of the energy? What's the quality of the movement or the color that you're experiencing when you focus on that leadership beacon role?
It's bright white.
Okay.
with that ice blue going through it.
Yeah. So it's strong. It's what's the word? Strident's not the right word.
Potent.
Piercing.
Piercing.
And does it move in a particular way?
Straight up.
And does it move slow or does it move fast?
Fast.
And has it got like a sort of like almost like a dagger-like point to it, or is it more of a whole form that moves?
It has a dagger-like point to it.
Okay. Okay. So it's very focused.
Yeah.
Pointy. So it's direct. It's got a very clear sense of direction.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you get
and
an
the
idea?
thing that it's showing me is that it has to be connected to the earth to have that direct focus and piercing and the potency of it. And that's
so the speed, the focus, everything comes from the earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to have that grounding piece.
Okay. And is that both for you and for the people you're meant to work with?
Yes.
Okay. So your purpose, you need to embody this in order to be able to lead people through it. You've been in this energy for a while now. How does it feel in your body?
Incredible.
Where are you feeling it the most, or are you just feeling it everywhere?
Everywhere.
Is it releasing tension, or is it activating something?
Both. It feels like it's I can't put a word to like things are coming off of me and it's activating deeper understanding of what I'm here to do.
So you've unlocked, by sitting in this energy, you're actually unlocking the communication of the energy. So the more time that you spend in it, if your body is ready for it, then it'll start to communicate with you. If your body isn't ready for it, then you'll start to understand where you need to work on yourself in order to be able to hold it. But you've been in it for quite a long time and you're feeling good, which means you're right. You have the capacity to hold this. It's understanding it that is the issue and going deep enough with it.
Well, my mind kicks in every once in a while and goes, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit.
Yeah. It does, because you're protecting yourself here. But I think my question is there anything else that you want to know while you're in this space, or that your guardians want you to know, or anybody else who joined you, they want you to know while you're in this space?
Trust.
Trust what?
Trust myself.
Okay.
Trust my purpose. Trust my power.
Okay.
And allow them to help me. I don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'll leave you to then release the space in ways that make sense to you.
They're sharing with me that I had all the stuff that I've gone through over the last 3 years. I had to be able to be here now and hold this.
Okay. So I think it's probably useful for anybody who's watching to perhaps explain what it's like to go into the energy, and then we'll start to look at what it all means.
I think it depends on how much you've communicated with it before, and what your level of understanding of working with energetics, your own and others. If it's new to you, it is going to feel very intense. It's going to feel you may reject it in the beginning, which I've done previously, right? Mm-hmm. But connecting to it and allowing it to come into my body and having the understanding that I do, and the work that I've done over the 3 years, is it felt soothing and activating at the same time. It felt like communicating with your best friend that is also a massive part of you, right? Mm-hmm. This is you, but it's not you. So it's maybe a spouse is another way to saying that, or that person that so intimately, and yet it feels so deeply a part of you.
Okay. I find it so fascinating. One of the other reasons to not go into people's fields is because if I did, I'd be directing and choreographing. And by allowing it to unfold, it comes out in its own way every single time, it's always it's a wonderful experience, because it's a reflection, as you say, it's part of you, it's a big part of you, but it's also not you, but so it becomes a reflection of that experience, that relationship, all of those things is wrapped up in how it's experienced and how it's is communicated. So it's fascinating. I love it because I receive my business stuff in a very specific way. I have never met anybody else who gets it the same way. And it's it's a really good practice for me not to be anywhere near sort of like controlling that. So what I've found interesting about your experience of this was, we'll start with this piece, is that those who know consciously aware will come, and those who don't won't. That is an extremely important piece in terms of your personal focus, because you are talking to people who are at the point of change or already on the journey of change, not the people who've got to get to the threshold. So you're somebody who takes people probably from the threshold onwards. That can relinquish vast amounts of headaches when it comes to thinking about, what do I talk about and how do I talk about it? These are people who've already done some of the work. They've already got some of the language under their belt. They sort of know what's going on. If they don't have the language or they haven't done the research, they've definitely got the conscious awareness of the problem. So that's where you're speaking to. So you framed it very clearly as, you know, conscious leaders. They're people who have got a lot of power. They're probably scared of that power, but you know, that all of that stuff, that these people who are bundled up tight with all of their potential, who just need to be allowed to go if you like, a bud unfurling, if you like, but the impulse has to be there to do the unfurling. So that's the first thing I would say in terms of everything you're doing. You're creating spaces, you're communicating things to people who are in that space. So that changes the nature of the type of opportunity to work with you, because it needs to be that incredibly safe space of, okay, now I can just, all the tensions that's been holding me together, I can let go of it in order to move forward. So that tells you instantly that you need safe spaces. That doesn't necessarily mean long-term spaces, but it needs safe spaces, probably quite intimate. So that's intimate one-to-one, or it's intimate groups. It tells me that the work that you need to do, I mean, these are people who are probably going to, correct me if I'm wrong, but my instinct would tell me that these are people who will be able to pick themselves up pretty quickly and start to run. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be, right, I need to put together a 12-month program of one-to-one work, because that's possibly, there'll be self-starters, self-motivated.
Yes. And the thing that I've been working with recently is that when I think about my embodiment process that I've gone through, it has having the safe space, and also having somebody, like, in the beginning, clearing those energy, understanding those pieces, and then from there having the space to embody it. So in the beginning, there's more work on my end for them, right? To clear, to support them, to show them the way. And then the second half of our work together is more of them building that self-trust. So taking all of the stuff that they have, not taking all of it, but you know what I mean? Like really embodying it and having the container to do so.
Okay.
Without having them to do it on their own. Because yes, they are self-starters, and yes, they will do it. It's not like they need me to hold their hand, but what they do need is they need the structure. It's in the vision that I just had working with the energy of my business. In the second half of our working together, it's like I become the beanbag chair for them.
Okay. Okay.
Holy shit.
I'll let that one process for a sec.
Yeah.
So coming back to the message that you had quite repeatedly through that was, you're not alone. You felt alone, but you're not alone. Now, you're telling me, was between the lines here, is that these are people who are not necessarily, who are perfectly capable of trying to soldier through on their own. But the message is that that it's not a good plan to soldier on your own. You need the guide. Yeah. So that feeling, sometimes when we experience the frequency of our business, that feeling of being isolated is sometimes the feeling that you get is the feeling that people are experiencing. So let me explain this. So when you are projecting the energy of your business, which is something that I teach people how to do, is they push that energy out. There's also a piece there where you're actually calibrating it to what the collective harmonic is, or the harmonic is of the specific things that your people are dealing with. So when you're reading that, there's that feeling of isolation. So you're sending out something that's calibrated to allow people to feel that beanbag safety, so that it's that coming home, so that it feels like a really safe space. And that's where, you know, it is really important to have that energetic integrity all the way through every aspect of your business, so that there isn't a discordance with how they experience every touch point of your business, so that they're always in the right place to do what they need to be doing. So you want people to come in to your business in a space where they, you know, they're ready to do the work, and nothing interrupts that readiness. So what you have with classic business structures is that it's all, and particularly around marketing, it's predicated on psychology and push, which puts people into their trauma, or puts people into a highly adrenalized state, which creates a break in their ability to do the work. So your whole business structure, from how you present yourself, how you communicate, and what the spaces that you bring in, are part of the journey of readiness. You see, they're moving people. So it's that gentleness that you reflected. There was a gentle energy to that. So it's a gentle journey. So when you're thinking about your business structure and also your communication of your business, it's that momentum building that you want to be looking at, so that those spaces that you create are just wide open for them to roll into. And it's something that they want to do, they're excited to do, and they've got the momentum to do, as opposed to they've been pulled in, dragging, screaming. Which is where a lot of people go into stuff, because I'm not good enough, I'm going to miss out on this, you know, all of that psychology. Just, I wonder how many weeks it takes of working with somebody to drop them out of that state in order to be able to get to where you need to get to even begin. So you actually make it faster to work with people if you maintain that steadiness.
It's an invitation.
It is exactly an invitation.
It is, okay. Yeah.
So the colors were interesting because there's a lot of blues. But obviously, you had blue, dark blue, ice blue, white, gold. Oh, hang on, there was another one. Hang on, you said bronze.
Orange, and then there was
gold and orange,
green.
But they were specks, you said.
Mm-hmm.
So those colors, what do those colors say to you?
The dark blue is the void, the unknown, the stepping into the wide open spaces of becoming. Okay. The gold and orange are the freedom is the word that comes in. Freedom to be, freedom, and also joy. Freedom, yeah, the freedom, the joy, having that move through with that. The ice blue, this is going to probably sound a little strange. If you've ever watched like, what's the name of that show? Game of Thrones, and you remember the Dead Walkers and how they had the ice blue eyes? It's that that piercing intensity.
Yep.
The emerald green is pure, soft. It is the essence of being held in the most beautiful, luscious garden. And the beautiful part of what's coming through in this moment is that the dark blue comes in and is held by the emerald green, and they mix in this beautiful like fog and swirl of beauty, of pureness.
Not just because we didn't talk about it that much, is the funnel. What was I mean, it may have just been there temporarily and as a prompt, but what was your interpretation of the meaning of the funnel?
It was there so I felt safe receiving. It was the gentle way for it to come through my system.
Okay. All right. So it is more to do with your business, is more to do with that upward movement of the white and ice blue. That's the actual movement of it. And it has to be connected into the earth. So in order to create that upward movement and to connect people into the earth, what do you need to be offering people? What changes do you need to be making in order to do that?
I have to use my voice more.
Okay. What does that mean, though?
So I didn't realize it until right now, doing this. So oftentimes when I go to do any sort of activity, it comes in, from the top, just like the energy came this time. What's being shown to me right now is, in order for it to be the activating energy that it's meant to be, that and how it's meant to move through me, it has to come from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I do the work, my personal work that I do for myself, the energy comes in from the head. But when I'm presenting to the world and to my people, it has to come from bottom out.
Okay. So here's a practice for you to play with, and that is to visualize creative energy. That's one of the reasons I wanted to run it through for you, is visualize it moving up through your body. Take it up through each of your energy centers and allow it to just do its work there. But that's a key part of the energetics of creation, and is that we are allowing that energy up, because it's that what, as you said, that's what creates the upward momentum and the impulse. And interestingly enough, I would say, from my experience, when you get that upward flow of energy, there are two elements involved in that, and that is earth and fire. Because they actually, to me, they operate on a vertical plane where the energy is cycling between earth and fire. So it's actually, it is completely connected. So you're getting both energies. But yes, that's what your voice comes, not from down, it comes from up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. And does that change how you need to structure your work?
No.
What does it change?
How I communicate.
Okay.
How I hate the word show up, but it's so communicate is the best word, but it is, again, I've done a lot of top heavy communicating where it doesn't feel grounded, which is why people are not coming in, because again, the whole point is for me to create safety, and they don't feel safe because I'm ungrounded.
Mm-hmm.
And my message is ungrounded.
Okay.
So now that I have this understanding of where the energy comes from for me to communicate, that's the massive shift. So it's not necessarily changing anything of how I work with my clients or what my programs look like. It's how I communicate. I am not doing a very good job there.
I think you're doing exactly what you've needed to do in order to understand the dynamics of how that works or doesn't work in order to, and that's one of the messages for this year, this coming year, is that we need to try, I didn't talk about this in my lives on 2023, but I got this very clear vision of lots and lots of little brass lenses that are like frequency projectors. And the message was you have to try on loads of them. And that's part of the thing that our journey over the next year or so is that we're trying on different ways of doing things in order to get to where we need to. One thing I would say was, you know, you said use your voice more. To me, the voice is more than the speaking. It is a much wider piece of expression. And I would hazard a guess that it's about finding more confidence and depth in your voice rather than you, because what would happen if you don't deal with the thinking that underpins business, the first thing you're going to go is I've got to do more lives, or I've got to put more posts out, and I've got to be doing more. Right. That's not true. It's about finding more power in your voice, more breadth and groundedness in your voice, so that you can hold that beacon without diminishing the power at all. Yeah, so it's about finding, for you now, your journey from here is to sort of like go really deeper into your message and understand more of that. So it's about sitting with that energy and seeing what that's activating in you and reactivating in you, so that you've got those other pieces. Definitely, we're in a space of time at the moment where all of these pieces can start to, we're thread weaving in order to create a bigger picture, because all those things that we've had going on for us over long periods of time are now coming together. And we're going, oh, that's why I've been so focused on that. Or that's why that wouldn't let me, leave me alone. It was constantly nagging at me. That's how it fits in. We are being asked to incorporate more of ourselves. So your business, helping with people with gifts that they're possibly scared of, or they've been brushing under the carpet, it's like about giving people permission to activate those and make them part of their identity. So, there's multiple layers of identity that we have in the world. And it's about saying it's safe to make it part of your wider identity. And that's a journey, because before you can come out, you have to come out to yourself. You have to come out to people around you, and then you have to come out to, it's a gradual unfolding. So yes, I mean, there's lots for you to work with on this. Does it feel like you've got a handle on it, or does it feel like you're just going, what do I do with all this?
What you just said about, because I've been there, right? I've been the person that's like, oh, well, then that means I need to do more. And that is not the energy that I received when they said, use my voice. It really was, it's the idea of thinking about an opera singer, right? An opera singer doesn't sing from their chest. They actually sing from their belly and their diaphragm. And that's the vision that I'm being given. It's not that I need to do more or any of that other stuff. It's more bring it up from the belly and let it project out that way.
Yeah.
And that's the groundedness of it. So yes, everything you are saying is like clarifying and putting into words the stuff that I've been working through. So it's perfect.
So what, in terms of deepening that confidence and that projection, does it change? I mean, does that energy, when you've been experiencing it, does it fit better with particular, does it fit better with a particular place? I'm trying to get a feel of what leadership is looking like for you at a very practical level. How do you show up? And because there needs to be a bit of an edge to your leadership, because everybody's a leader in their own way. And it's so noisy that just trying to show up and say, I am the expert in this field, that's a really hard path to getting any traction in your business. Really, really hard work. But there are ways of sort of like really focusing in on what works for this energy. It's an upward energy. it's capable of being a beacon. So that always says to me that it's capable of functioning in different ways as a way of being a leader. Now, if you open up your voice and you find more of your voice, does it change where you can show up and talk about your business?
Hmm. I want to say I don't know, but I know that that's a mental energy of me like not accepting. So
Or it hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah, so the answer is yes. And I'm already taking those steps to make that happen. Like I've been doing those things already.
Okay.
So the answer is yes. I haven't finished laying the ground. I haven't like fully stepped into those pieces just yet.
So part of your strategy now is to focus more on those.
Yeah.
Okay. Because those are the long-term pieces. So what we want to do is actually think about, in terms of your strategy, you've got two timelines that you're going to need to be working on. There's the long term, which is developing your position, your authority, your credibility, your passive flow of people, because there's lots of your energy out there doing its work. And then there's the short term. So it's how do you do what you need to do now to keep your business healthy? So you want to have an eye on both aspects of that. What can I do now to expand my voice, ground what I'm saying, and really invite people in right now? And how am I going to do that in the long term? Where am I going to share my message? And what way am I going to share my message? So to give you an example, that might be, is my voice best used in a podcast? Or is my voice best used as a guest speaker? Is it best used as am I better at writing than I am at speaking? Or should I be aiming to get a mass following on YouTube? There's lots of different ways that avenues that we have available to us. It's important to be clear with that energy, that whatever you choose, it's got that directionality of that upward movement. So for example, YouTube does not have that. It's a very dispersed energy. Whereas writing for a specific audience has got, I'm not saying that this is right for you, because it's got to be right for you, but it has a much more specific, focused energy. But then again, writing a book is a dispersing energy. Or you write a self-help book that is very focused. There's lots. What I want you to be looking at is what are the mechanisms that are best placed for me to build that long term, and what's short term? What do I need to be doing now in terms of opening up, expanding, consolidating, grounding, just providing a greater level of depth to really, it's going to be your messaging. Because if you don't need to change your structure, how you're supporting people, then it's your messaging. And it's the commitment and the conviction that underpins that.
So the two things that came to me, right now, it's me writing, right? The right now moment is me writing my message, writing out the pieces of it. And it's not necessarily for a book. It may become that in the future. Right now, it's for me. It's for me to embody. It's for me to ground that work. In the future, it feels like that in the future, it will be me being a guest speaker on stage. I will be on stage. I will be the focused energy. And that's what's coming through. And I've seen the picture of me standing on stage multiple times.
Yeah. So so let's clarify this picture of the stage, just to give you a bit of a hand on what you focus on. Are you standing on a stage in front of an audience, like a paid audience, is it like a TED Talk, or like bigger, bigger conference, or is it more intimate that you're speaking like more like a retreat setting?
It is, I am not the facilitator of it. You said guest speaker earlier, and so it has very much that energy that I'm a guest, right? The invitation has been there, and I'm speaking. It's a large amount of people, like 500, 600, but it still has a very intimate feeling. So there might be, maybe it's less, but it still feels very intimate. But it's not like it's not like thousands and thousands. It's not like I'm filling up some sort of.
Nor is it 10 people. It's
right.
It's quite significant. Okay, so if it's got a guest speaker energy, then that instantly knocks doing a podcast on the head. It means your strategy, if you want to do that, is to actually get onto other people's, or it's that you write. And you're writing in front of people who've got the capacity to put you on the stage, or a number of those things. But do you see what I mean? So it's, in terms of his strategy, once you start to understand, you just go, okay, well, it's got that sort of energy, so I don't want to go down that route. I need to go down this route. But definitely your short-term focus needs to be on opening up more of that message, so that you've got the confidence to take it out there and pitch yourself to whatever platform you want to pitch yourself to.
Yeah.
So there's what I would recommend that you do is, at some point soon, go back into the energy and come up with a set of words that feel congruent with that energy, that you can begin to use to anchor all the parts of your message together.
Okay.
And that will then give you, it's like a tuning fork for how you speak. So you get, okay, so you can, possibly watch back the recording and you'll see some of the words that you use quite consistently. So, that gentle was one of those. So your language wants to be more on the gentle end of, rather than the abrupt sort of sound. It needs to be more rolling. And that needs to come obviously through you. So you need to find that part of you, that activate that part of you that is consistent with that energy. So, I mean, also you can see that this is, I'm just going to, let me just pin this because I'll explain a little bit like this, but, obviously it is an ongoing, experience trying to interpret that. I mean, there's multiple levels and there's multiple layers to taking that energy and beginning to, and communicating with it. So it's not it's an opening. It isn't an end piece, basically. So, we've been going for a while, so I won't talk too much longer because I'm conscious of the fact that it's a lot to watch. But there's moving through this way, it sort of like disconnects you from your head. It drops you into your body wisdom. And if you can, when you're experiencing it yourself and you're actually just really asking your body what it's experiencing, being aware of the colors or the sensations or the emotions, sometimes even the thoughts, because it depends on how your intuition speaks to you. But when you're aware of all those things, then you can begin to understand and interpret it. And the invitation, of course, is there if anybody wants to, watching this on the recording or live or whatever, wants to talk about some support to continue that journey, then I am absolutely available. And I have just put together some very flexible options to build your own mentoring package. so that it's more accessible to people. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch off the recording and have an opportunity for any Q&A. Anybody wants to ask any questions live. And if you are watching the recording and you've got some questions, then you are very welcome to follow any of the links in the email to come and ask me any questions that you've got. So I'm going to switch off the recording now, and we'll have a little bit of a chat, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thanks very much. Bye.